Hey everyone, what's going on? It's 2 Minutes to Review. It's Matt.
And it's Zach.
This episode sponsored by Lucky 13 Beard Co. Head on over to lucky13beardco.com. Get 10% off your order and stay tuned for a special code at the end of the episode. You clicked on the picture to this episode. This is a band that Zach and I have seen live once before. They were a lot of fun.
Actually, Matt, correction.
Oh,
Two
don't
times.
say. 2 times.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In your defense, we only caught the end of their set, and immediately we're like, we really should have stayed for more of this, or we should have came earlier, because they were the opener for 311 and Dirty Heads. But
yes,
the one time
right.
the one time you're talking about is on the Hella Mega Tour when they opened up that big shindig with Green Day. Weezer was supposed to be Fall Out Boy, but they got sick. We actually detailed that experience in a past Am I Missing Something episode when we talked about our first concert since the pandemic, which is why I was about to say the Interrupters actually hold a special place in my heart simply because of that. They were actually the first band or first any real entertainment that I saw since the beginning of the pandemic. Just for that reason, they'll always have a kind of special place in my heart. We're like, oh, wow, this is the first concert since the beginning. This is weird.
Yeah, and just to be there and experience being in front of a crowd and speakers again, like Zach mentioned, you need to go listen to that episode. That's actually probably one of the best episodes that we ever recorded. If you haven't gone to a concert since the beginning of the pandemic and you're thinking about going back, go and check out that episode. But as we start to digress here a little bit, yes, we're doing a new Interrupters album review today.
This is a band that has really caught on like wildfire, dare I say, which is funny because the big single, She's Kerosene, is kind of just was the surprise hit. Whoa, came out. I mean, it reminded people a lot of the 90s ska punk that they fell in love with.
For the last time.
Whoa. And, again, going back to that concert experience, they really were kind of a good first band to see live because their music and live show has a lot of fun, upbeat energy to it. And like we said, they've gotten a lot of buzz. The last record's been almost 5 years since they released their third record. And now the new fourth one, we just figured, it would be interesting to see if, the buzz they created with Hella Mega Tour, with all the touring, with those radio singles, has it led to an even more successful breakthrough album? That's what we're going to figure out as we discuss In the Wild. And you know what? I think without further ado, Matt, should we get into
Zach?
it?
I think we should. I think we kept them waiting long enough.
Yeah? We kept them in the wild?
Whoa.
Oh. And you know what? This is going to surprise you, Matt. I want to go first. All right, Matt, count me down.
3, 2, 1, go.
So if you weren't a fan of their sound that if Joan Jett meets Rancid, you're not going to really like this album because 90% of it continues that theme. I'd even say that there's songs like The Hard Way or As We Live that kind of have that 90s ska punk vibe with a little bit of that Heartland punk sprinkled into it that you kind of expect to hear on like your favorite teen rom-com or teen comedies in the 90s, that soundtrack. But don't be fooled. There's songs like Kiss the Ground and Love Never Dies that not only find the band going straight up the reggae route, but surprisingly, this is where Amy Interrupted, the singer, actually really shines and excels. And then there's songs like In the Mirror and Let 'Em Go. Yeah, you know what you're getting when you hear them, but they're just total earworms and a lot of fun. I mean, I can just picture myself at a backyard party in the summer with this album blasting in the background as I just party with friends. So all in all, at times it could definitely sound a little repetitive. It's ultimately a very fun, enjoyable album that could prove to be the perfect soundtrack to your summer. And if you like pop punk, ska, just plain out Heartland rock, you're probably going to really enjoy this.
And we got a time. And what is your star rating out of 5?
This album really took me by surprise in that upon first listen, all right, this is fine. It really grew on me to the point that I'm in the middle between 3.5 to possibly even 4 stars. I'm leaning towards 3.5 right now, but it's honestly a really fun, enjoyable record. Like I actually am like repeatedly listening to this, even, just leading up to the release. I really enjoyed it. I really was surprised at how much I enjoyed the reggae songs, even more so than the punk rock songs. Yeah, it was just a really fun, enjoyable record.
Okay. Sounds fair enough.
So I would say 3.5, maybe depending on the day you ask me, maybe 4.
Okay.
Might surprise you. So Matt, you
Zach.
ready to get your skank on?
Ew, that sounds dirty.
Well, it might be. Just like ska music.
Let's
Very
do it.
dirty. 3, 2, 1, go, go, go.
So if you've ever heard the interrupters before, kind of like what Zach alluded to, you know what you're getting into. Now, I will say this on the flip side. If you've never heard the interrupters before, this album is a great album to get into them on because they are very, very consistent in their sound. Between this and Fight the Good Fight, their last album, I would say you have a pretty well-rounded experience as to what the interrupters bring to the table. Now, as far as this album goes, I kind of feel, because I've listened to Fight the Good Fight a lot, that I really don't like that they didn't take more chances. Granted, tracks like Kiss the Ground and Love Never Dies, their reggae tracks, really are just like a breath of fresh air in the middle of this 90s ska rancid type sound that Zach was alluding to earlier, that it really is like, oh, wow, they do something different. And then the ballad, My Heart, actually kind of throws that in toward the end of the album as well. It's like, oh, wow, they can do something else besides their sound. Because I can tell you, listening to this album partway through, I'm like, okay, can we do something else besides like upstrokes and just, you know, horns and whatnot? Can we do a different sound? Can we do something different? And they can. It's just they don't do it enough to say that this is truly something different than what we've heard from the interrupters before.
Time locked in. So out of 5 stars, what would you give the interrupters in the wild?
I'm going to say 3. It's not bad. It's not bad. But like I said, it's just not different enough. I mean, if you're trying to expand your sound, those reggae tunes and that ballad are the way to go. Like, you need to do something different, and you can do it, and it actually sounds really good. So I would say expand and explore that space a little bit more. Maybe make the reggae a little more ska, or, you know, introduce more ska or introduce more reggae into the ska, but they've got to do something different. They can't, after this, they cannot release another album that sounds just like this again.
I will say maybe it's because I was going into this album expecting it to just be from front to back, just ska punk, 90s ska punk, or them trying to do She's Kerosene again. Which is why when I heard those reggae songs, and even the more straight up ballad, The Alien, toward the end.
That was weird.
I liked it.
That was weird.
Sorry, Alien, not The Alien, just Alien. It was weird, but you know what? I was also not expecting, even on the songs like In the Mirror or Anything Was Better, I was not expecting to hear such vulnerable lyrics from Amy. I was kind of expecting the typical, you gotta stand up for and fight for, like, just like kind of like the extra boost of confidence that like you kind of get from that kind of punk rock. Whereas,
yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty typical punk
just
rock.
Typical, and even like on the last album, I kind of got that. Whereas here, I'm like, oh well, no, they're talking a lot about just their own personal insecurities, and I don't know. And again, maybe just because I went in with very low expectations, that I was surprised when I did hear a song like Kiss the Ground, or even when I did hear like some of the lyrics. I'm like, huh, okay. And granted, like you said, there's definitely songs like Raised by Wolves. I'm like, all right, come on now. Let's move this on. Like, you know, we've heard this before.
And that's kind of where I lose them with the lyrics. I will sit there and I'll try to listen and, you know, take the lyrics for what they are. But when it's the same music over and over again, and how many times can you use the same pick scratch across the strings before it gets old? Like, that's one of the biggest tropes that they have on this album. Like, every song has to have a pick scratch somewhere. So I just tune it out after a while, because it's almost the same thing over and over and over. Oh, look, here's a reggae track. Oh, this is really interesting. This is cool. Okay. Over and over and oh, there's another reggae track. That's cool. You know, so you got to do something different.
I find myself, though, normally with those kind of albums, I'm like, all right, I'm done. For some reason, I actually am still finding, like I said before, I still find myself going back to it. Like In the Mirror has been stuck in my head after the second listen. Not the first. It's one of those instances where the first time I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And then I'm like, oh, let me listen to it again. I'm like, okay, now I'm hooked. Yes, it's repetitive, but there's like in some songs, I'm like, okay, enough already. But like in the mirror, I'm like, wow, that's actually a really good song.
It is.
Like
that could not be denying it.
Like
it could be.
I think it will be. I mean, listen, go ahead. Sorry.
But my problem is, and this is indicative of it all kind of sounding the same. Anytime that I'd start humming along with something else, I would immediately hear myself going, I've been burned for the last time.
It's fair. That's fair. Well, when you get burned like that, you always remember it.
Whoa.
Well, you know what?
If you've never heard that song before, go back to Fight the Good Fight.
You've heard that song before.
Maybe.
If you're listening to this episode, you've heard that song before.
Well, maybe they're clicking on this for the first time. Whoa.
Ooh, look at us doing harmonies. But
we're here all week, folks.
But none of that matters, Matt. None of our opinions really matter. What it matters is the scores, the times, which sounds like a really yucky ska band itself, the scores and the times. So, Matt, what time did I come in?
You came in at a balmy 1 minute and 17 seconds.
Better than normal.
Yep.
Well, Matt, congratulations. You only beat me by, I can't do math right now because I'm too tired, a few seconds at 1 minute and 26 seconds.
9 seconds. There we go.
Don't stop showing off your math skills. Shut up. Just stop.
It's all math all day.
Stop. Well, do you agree? Do you disagree with us? Do you think we're being overly critical of the Interrupters? Do you love In the Wild? Or do you agree with us and think we're right on the money? Let us know on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Epic Footnote. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel to hear more reviews like this, as well as some other pretty cool podcasts, dare we say. And once again, thank you so much to Lucky 13 Beard Co.
The code that we promised you earlier in the episode, EFP10 at checkout, will get you 10% off of anything inside of your cart, including the brand new Lummy Beard Oil that we have with those guys. Bourbon Cola, tobacco leather, it all smells amazing. Lucky 13, the number beardco.com. Use it, EFP10 at checkout.
Thanks so much for listening. See ya.
I've been burned for the last time.
Time.
Whoa.